Hey everyone, what's going on? So this is the first episode of my Pokemon Shield Hardcore Nuzlocke. Before we start, I'd just like to go over the rules. So we're obviously going to be following basic Nuzlocke rules, which include that you must catch the first Pokemon in each route. If a Pokemon faints, it is dead and you can no longer use it for the rest of the run. And you must nickname each Pokemon to foster a sense of affection. We will also be playing with Dupes Clause, which means that if I have already caught a Pokemon, I may no longer catch it, and I have to instead catch the second encounter or the third encounter, whichever is eligible under the Dupes Clause for the run. Additionally, we'll be following Hardcore Nuzlocke rules, which add the stipulations that I cannot use held items in battle, that I cannot overlevel past the next gym leader's ace, and I'll be adding a couple rules of my own, which include Held Items Clause, which means that only one Pokemon on my team can hold a specific held item at a time. So if one of my Pokemon has leftovers, any other member on my team is able to hold a Black Sludge or a Shell Bell, but no one else can hold the leftovers at the same time. Additionally, I'll be following two other rules, which are that one, I must only use one Pokemon of each typing in my team. So, for example, if I have a Fire type in Scorbunny, let's say, I cannot use another Fire type on the team. I think this makes for more interesting team building and also puts on a lot of restrictions, especially on a game that's considered mostly easy and I think this will make it for a more interesting Nuzlocke. Additionally, same thing with the last one, I also follow a rule that says I'm only allowed to use as many Pokemon as my rival in any battle. So for some of the rival battles where Hop only uses 2 or 3 Pokemon, I can only use 2 or 3 Pokemon at most. And even for the Elite Four and Champion, most of the Elite Four members, or I guess in this game they're called Championship matches, they only use 5 Pokemon. So for those battles, I will have to nominate which 5 Pokemon I'm using out of my party of 6. If, for whatever reason, all 5 of those Pokemon faint, that is equivalent to wiping. I don't have to actually wipe out, I just have to lose the number of Pokemon that is suggested. And if I lose, it can only use those 5 Pokemon. If I lose all 5, the run will be considered over. Again, I think this is just something that makes the game a lot more interesting, especially because Pokemon Shield and a lot of the games past probably Generation 6, even honestly Generation 5, have a lot of trainers that really just use 4 Pokemon or even 5 Pokemon. And I think this really helps make the game a little more interesting and keeps it a little more even, which at the end of the day makes for a more fun Nuzlocke. So, without further ado, now that we have explained the rules, let's get right into it. So as we can see here, I'm about to make my selection for my starter. I've thought about this quite deeply, but I think the best choice for this game for Nuzlocking is Grookey. The reason behind this is because, well, Scorbunny, generally speaking, fire types are really good, but the issue with Scorbunny is it's really good for the first gym. It doesn't really help for the second gym, and we're just going to go ahead and name this thing Poker, because I just like it and has branch poke as its move, so I think it makes sense. But Scorbunny, while it's good for the first gym, it's really weak against the second gym. At the same time, Sobble, while it's weak to the first gym, and it's okay for the second gym, it resists. The third gym, it's strong. Grookey resists the first gym, and it's super effective against the second gym. The reason why I think Grookey is the best is because I've played a couple runs of this, and what I've noticed is that unless you catch a grass type Pokemon or an electric type in Route 4, or maybe even get lucky with a Blip Bug or something that can handle Nissa, she actually tends to be a run killer if you don't have the right Pokemon. And Scorbunny is an absolute no-no because it cannot withstand it. Inteleon, or I guess at that point it would be Drizzile, I have noticed can do a decent job against Nissa, but it's not really a consistent strategy, and you definitely can't one-hit KO, and you do risk losing 1 or 2 Pokemon in that situation. So I think Grookey is the best bet because it's very easy to get past Milo. I've even done it with a Skwovet in the past, so I think Milo is going to be the easiest one. If we can resist it, that's great, but by the time we get to Nissa, we'll at least have Grookey who can help take out Nissa, and then we can always fish, because we do get the fishing rod by that point, and we can get a water type Pokemon that'll help us take out the fire type gym as well. So I think Grookey just makes for more consistent early game and takes a lot of the luck out of things, which at the end of the day, when you're doing a hardcore Nuzlocke especially, you do want to keep that in mind. Also, as you can see on the side of our screen, the level cap is 20. Obviously, as of right now, no deaths. We'll try to keep that going for as long as possible. But yeah, the level cap will adjust as and when needed after we beat each according gym leader. But here we go, yeah. This is our first battle with Hop. Again, these games, the rival battle tends to be pretty easy, but it is our first battle, so let's just, I guess, make sure. Technically speaking, we haven't gotten the Pokeballs yet, but most Nuzlocke would not have started by now. But I think this battle is fairly easy enough to the point where it's not really going to matter. The critical hit from the tackle, though, is a little annoying. I think if he gets another critical hit, that could be annoying. But okay, that's not too bad. So just 7 HP. Once we take out the Wooloo here, we'll get enough XP to actually get us up to level 6, which gives a Grookey branch poke, and that comes in really handy against the incoming Sobble. Yeah, so I'll just wait for him to send out the Sobble. But that's one of the things that makes this game really easy, because your rival, for example, has obviously the Pokemon that's weak to you. And that's pretty convenient, especially because these rival battles, then you don't have to just sit there tackling, because level up once, you get your grass type move, and it's super effective as well. But that's actually another reason why picking Grookey, I think, is actually better, because also for the late game, if you pick Grookey, Leon takes the Score Bunny, which means late game he's going to have a Cinderace. And while Cinderace is an exceptionally good Pokemon, the fact that he has Cinderace and Charizard on the same team really allows you to play around that better. One means a water type is going to have more effectiveness, reduces his type effectiveness, type versatility. But at the same time, if you have a Pokemon that can set up Stealth Rocks, for example, that's going to be really good to take out a very strong starter, and the Charizard, mind you, Charizard's going to lose half of its health with the Stealth Rocks. So it's really just going to be useful for the later game. I think that's just setting it up quite nicely. I forget where I'm supposed to go here. I think I'm supposed to... Yeah, okay. So this is another thing I'm not a big fan of in these games. They just take a lot of time to get started. I've been doing a few Nuzlocks in some other games, and those have been pretty decent, but this one just takes almost, I want to say almost 20-25 minutes from when you get your starter to when you're able to get going to the wild area, probably. And I would say that's where the game really starts, because you get a lot of freedom in terms of picking your Pokemon and going from there. Okay, here we go against, I think, the Zamazenta fight. I mean, obviously, it doesn't really make a difference as far as this Nuzlocke is concerned, because it doesn't deal damage to you, your Pokemon's not actually going to faint. And, again, just to reiterate, we still haven't gotten Pokeballs, so we're not really losing out any time. But this would be a good time to just, I guess, talk over this battle and just explain some of the other rules in this Nuzlocke. So, again, Pokemon Shield has the interesting component of the wild area, which wasn't really introduced in games prior to this. So I think this would be a good time to just go over that. But the wild area, how I'm going to treat it in this Nuzlocke at least, is I believe there's 17 different areas, if I'm correct, in the wild area. So what we're going to do is we're going to treat each location of the wild area as a different encounter, which I think makes sense because each of them do have different Pokemon available. And moreover, actually, if you look at Pokemon Shield, there's not a lot of encounters available. I mean, obviously, you have the fishing encounters you can get at each town, but I believe there's only 10 or 11 routes. So without the wild area being considered multiple encounters, you really actually lower your amount of Pokemon that you can catch. But I, again, think that wouldn't be fair, especially because these games are structured around having the wild area as a place to trade and catch Pokemon. So the way we're going to deal with it in this run is I'm allowed to catch one Pokemon from the wild area the second we enter. When we get off the train and the Wooloo on the tracks, we're going to get the first encounter there. I mean, we can always choose which place we want to encounter first, but generally I think the Dappling Grove area would be the best to go to. And after that's done, we can also go on to the gym, and the way I'm going to deal with it is at every gym badge, I'm allowed to catch 2 more wild area Pokemon. So that'll make it 1 at the start, and then 2 after every gym badge, makes it a total of 17, which accounts for all the areas. I think that would be the best way to handle it. And also the fact that we can always pick which order we want to go in. I think that'll allow for a little more versatility in terms of which Pokemon we can catch when, and it'll allow us to just keep a little bit of team building in mind when it comes to preparing for the upcoming gym battles. So another thing that Sword and Shield introduced was overworld Pokemon. So as you can see, if I go closer to this grass, I can actually see the Pokemon peeking out in front of me. So to account for that, I don't really want to make it unfair, and I wanted to honor the nature of random encounters. So what we're going to do is we're not going to count any Pokemon I run into that is just in the overworld. The only way I can actually encounter Pokemon is by going through this grass here, and you see how those exclamation marks come up. When there's an exclamation mark, if you run into the Pokemon, it just shows you the silhouette of the Pokemon, and then as you start the battle, it reveals the silhouette to show which Pokemon you have. I think that would be the most fair way of doing things, because otherwise, let's say I saw the Rookidee, I could just go up to the Rookidee, and that doesn't really make it a random encounter. And obviously, closing your eyes and stuff is definitely something we could do, but I just think this is a more fair way of doing it. I'm not entirely sure if that limits the number of Pokemon available. I don't know if there's certain Pokemon that are only available in the overworld, but I haven't had an issue the last few times I've done this, so I think we should just I'm just going to stick with this. I think that's the most effective way to do it. So without further ado, let's go get that first encounter. So I'm just going to run this grass here. I see this exclamation mark. And as you can see, you have the black silhouette, and that is the skull of it. Okay, I'm not going to lie, that's probably not ideal. I'm not the biggest fan of Skullwhip, but Greedent is a pretty decent Pokemon. At least early game, I think you can get away with using it. It's a normal type. I don't think it has overlap with many other things, so that's fine. We should be able to just catch it with the Pokeball. I hope it doesn't break out. Perfect. Okay. We can just add Skullwhip to our team. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty decent encounter. I don't really know how much effectiveness it's going to get. I guess let's name this thing... I'm going to name it Cheeky, just because Cheek Pouch, and why not? Let me double check what Cheek Pouch does, though, because if I remember, it's actually... I think Cheek Pouch is a pretty decent ability for it to have. I don't know if Greeting gets it or if it's Skullwhip as well. It does, so it restores HP as well when the Pokemon is buried. Yeah, that's perfect. So I think that's actually a pretty decent ability to have, especially early game when you can use certain berries like cherry berries and even like maybe, I mean, I guess orange berries, it wouldn't really make the biggest difference, although I guess it would get extra HP back. But I think definitely for cherry berries and some of the citrus berries, or sorry, raspberry berries or anything else that we might use early game before we have some decent items, I think it would be really good to use Skullwhip for. So honestly, that's not terrible. I definitely do think its effectiveness is going to fall off later, especially when we get better normal types. But all said and done, honestly, I think that first encounter could have gone a lot worse, so I'll take it. Plus, it's a plus attack nature, so you know what? It's not too bad in the end. There's two things here that I really like that Pokemon Shield did, and they're coming up right here, so I can just talk about them as and when they happen. But for first of them, you know, if you go inside here, talk to Hop, you'll see the first thing he asks is, "This your first time in the Pokemon Center?" If you click, of course not. He doesn't give you an unnecessary tutorial. At the end of the day, that's maybe only 30 seconds, but it is 30 seconds that I really appreciate saving, especially in a situation like this. But I'm just going to go buy some potions here. We start with a lot of money in this game. I didn't realize we started with 31,000. Okay, I'll get like 10 potions. Then, anyway, we can just make our way over to Route 2. This, again, something I wish, again, like, this is the kind of issue. So, that was great. You can skip the Poké Center thing, but the fact that he forced you to talk to the gym challenge, I just wish there was maybe a setting that, you know, you could toggle, be like, oh, this is my second time playing the game. I want to pare it down. I just want to play the game. I don't want more of the storyline. I just want to go to the battles. I don't really want to be talking that much. But, oh well. I just wish that was a thing. But, here comes Leon. Yep. Okay, so this is another thing I really like. So, now that he knows you've already caught a Pokemon, he actually just gives you Pokeballs, and he doesn't force you to go through the tutorial of catching a Pokemon, which is, again, something I love. Something that's been missing in a lot of Pokemon games, and I'm just really a fan that they managed to put that into this. Small quality of life things, but I think stuff like that definitely helps. Okay, Hop's gonna catch a lot of Pokemon. Great. Now it's time for our second encounter. Honestly, a lot of good Pokemon early game. I think pretty much everything's usable. Another Scovet obviously is Droop's Claws, so we can be sure to king another Scovet. I just don't want to run into the Rookidee. And by the way, just to clarify on the earlier rules, if I run into something that's in the overworld, and you'll know that because you won't see the black silhouette when I encounter it, that's not going to be counting as a run, because as an encounter, because by that logic, the optimal way would just be... So, for example, I ran into the Rookidee by accident here. You can see it doesn't highlight as a black silhouette, and I don't think that's fair. So I'm going to run from this battle just to keep things fair, because otherwise I could accidentally just run into Pokemon, and I don't think that would be very fair. So now we have the exclamation mark. This should trigger as a black silhouette. And it's a Blip Bug. Okay. I'll take that. I mean, it's not probably the best Pokemon. I would have really loved a Rookidee because, I mean, I think, one, it's a pure flying type, which we really needed for a long time. And then when it evolves, obviously, Corviknight being the steel flying type, it's a really good tank. And for Nuzlocke, especially when you're not using healing items, I think just having some tanks that can help stall is really useful. But, okay, that's a pretty easy catch. Yeah, we're just going to catch a Blipbug. I guess we can name this thing... I don't even know what to name it. I'm going to name it Pewter, just because for some reason I got the Blipbug and I just thought Bug, I thought Spider, I thought Spider-Man, I went Pew Pew. And it seems weird to name a Blipbug Pew Pew, so we're just going to name it Pewter. But it's honestly not bad as a Pokemon, Blipbug. The one thing that it can do is it's really good at... it's really good at early game because it evolves really early, and that's a common trend with bug types generally in Nuzlocke. they're going to be really strong early game Pokemon. I think Dottler, Bug Psychic, obviously has a few more weaknesses than you would like, but I think that's just part and parcel of being a bug type. I honestly think Dottler, though, obviously it's going to be a counter for the first gym, which is great. Since it's a bug type, it should be able to easily take out the Gossifleur and the... I forget what the second Pokemon is, but... the Gossifleur and the Eldegoss, but... again, just branch poking. So our official first battle of the Nuzlocke, now that we've gotten Pokeballs, again, goes off without hitch. The early game, at least on this route, is not tricky by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it gets a little trickier in a couple routes, and I'll bring that up when we get there. Okay, so I'm just going to go over here and get this Pokeball. There are 2 more trainer fights on this route. I don't think I need to heal because, again, 20 HP should be fine, at least for these battles. I do think it'll be an issue later on, so I'll make sure I heal for those ones. But these battles, again, like I said, should be pretty easy. Okay, the unsealed Pokemon. So this battle, Hop does use 3 Pokemon, so we are also able to use 3 Pokemon. I believe he's going to start with the Wooloo. I don't think either of my other Pokemon are strong enough yet to take on the Wooloo, so I'm just going to lead with Grookey. Again, because of the XP share in these games, experience trickles throughout the team, so there's no real worry in terms of leveling up Pokemon or by using them in battle. I can kind of just keep Grookey and everything else will get to a pretty decent level. But yeah, just to report on what I saw earlier, Dottler has a 335 base at total, and its attack is pretty poor. Its special attack is like base 50, not too great, but a Pokemon that has 90 base special defense and 80 base defense at level 10 is honestly not bad at all, and I think for the early game, that's really going to help. And then we can take a look at Orbeetle, which is its full evolution, but that is at level 30. But Orbeetle is a 500 base stat total Pokemon, which makes it a really solid bug type. Plus, 120 base special defense, 110 base defense, 90 base speed, so it can outspeed quite a few things, and 80 base special attack, so it's not bad at all as far as that's concerned. But like I said, we're probably just going to blow through this battle here really quickly. The Rookidee comes in. It is a bit of a concern. I think Hop's Rookidee is low enough level, though, to not have to worry about Peck, but I could stand corrected. I hope I don't. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness, I stand corrected. And that was the issue. So critical hit can cause that problem. We're going to go into Scovet here because, again, this thing is level 6. So the Rookidee is just level 5, so we should be able to take this on. That was a slight issue. The Leer is also concerning. Want to be careful. Again, we don't want to lose a Pokemon this early. 2 Leers. Okay. I don't know if I want to stay in here. I'm going to stay in, but this could do a lot of damage. Okay, I mean, crit would have been fine. So that's, okay. It was the right call to stay in. Crit would have been fine in the end. We get the XP. That puts Grookey to level 10, which should get it back some HP. But like I said, the Rookidee is something we're going to have to be a little careful of. From that lens, it's actually good that we didn't encounter a Rookidee on the route because a level 5, level 6 Rookidee really could do some damage to our team. I'm going to keep going with Tackle because obviously we get Stab. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's same type attack bonus. Since Squabit is a normal type, Tackle is going to get a 50% boost to its power. That being said, that is a lot of damage taken from Squabit and not a lot dealt back. So I'm going to go into Grookey here. Just because I'm going to assume he goes for Pound. If he goes for Water Gun, that might be better. I don't know if he has it. He just goes for Growl. I'll take that. We are below 1/3 HP, so if you guys don't know, that's when Overgrowth triggers. All their starters, their original abilities are... Oh, that's not good. That's really bad. I really would have hoped that not took it out. Okay, I just growled. Okay. That could have been bad. I do think Pound would have only done about 3 HP, so I don't think it would have been an issue. Even with crit, I think we would have done 5, so we should have been fine. But would have been nice to Oko it. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, same type of attack bonus basically just means you get 50% boost to a move that's of the same typing, and which Grookey obviously does because Branch Poke, for example. And Overgrow boosts the power of Grass type moves when you're below 1/3 HP, which is the ability that Grookey normally gets. Now, this Fire type starter, Scorbunny gets Blaze, which is the same idea for Fire types, and Sobble gets Torrent, which is the same idea for Water types. But honestly, yeah, if that Rival Battle taught you anything, that was a level 5 Rookidee. My Grookey was level 9, and it still took massive amounts of damage from that Rookidee. So we've got to be careful. I mean, that is what Stab can do. Like stab, super effective moves. If you think about it, super effective. Peck is a 40 base power move, but you know, making it on a super effective Pokemon, all of a sudden that's 80 base power. It's equivalent to an 80 base power move, and then you get stab, which is 1.5 times. So it's like basically a 120 power move. It would be the same as imagining. It would be the same as Rookid using Thrash, for example, which is 120 base power. So not really the kind of situation you want to be putting your Pokemon in. And obviously the crit, I believe crits do 1.5 times damage, so when you consider the fact that it crit, you're talking about 210 base power. You're all of a sudden talking about 210 base move. So it definitely, the crit was a little unlucky there, but that is the kind of thing we have to play around if we want to not lose Pokemon. And especially losing Grookey this early would be devastating because we need it for the second gym. I think after that, Grookey I think goes down in effectiveness, especially because of our typing rules that say we can't use two grass type Pokemon. So the fact that Grookey takes up a grass typing but also doesn't give a dual type is a little unfortunate, but it's still a pretty solid Pokemon. And I think Rillaboom with Grassy Glide, I believe, is a priority move. Could be coming really handy in the later parts of this game as well. Past that, okay, so we can see exclamation mark here. I think this should count. It does. It's a Wingull. That's okay. I mean, we don't have a flying type on the team right now. The water typing, like I said, is a little unideal because we do have other options for water types, but I'll take it. I don't know if we can catch this. That's the issue. Okay, this is Growl. As long as he uses Growl, I'm not concerned, but two things we do have to consider. The hail damage, that's only doing 1 HP at the moment, which is okay. Growl does, so I think we can get away with using Scratch 2 Growls. So this outspeeds us, which means also running away is not going to be easy, but oh my goodness. I think we just try another Pokeball, honestly. It's level 10. I think we just hope we can catch it. Honestly, I don't want to take too many risks. Okay, this is a little concerning. Quick attack. How much is that going to do? Alright, that's not too bad. It's buffeted by hail. I think a safe bet. I don't know if Wingull has any flying type moves at this point, but I don't want to risk it. I'm gonna go into Skwovet. Hopefully he doesn't attack this turn. I think if it growls, that's somewhat ideal for us, honestly. Use Water Gun. Okay, that does 10. So crit will do 15, which means we can stay in one more turn here because after crit and hail damage, we'll still have 1 HP left. So we're gonna tackle. I think that's gonna be max damage. It's quick attack, that's okay. But that means we have to switch out now. And tackle's done a decent bit. It's going to get buffeted by the hail. We're going to get buffeted by the hail. Alright, now I think using Growl would be great. If he uses Water Gun, I think that's okay. But again, we're going to go into the Grookey and just hope we don't lose the Pokemon here. Okay, quick attack. I hope that doesn't do too much damage. It does 5. Okay, so we're officially in the point where now we have to be a little careful. Obviously, Water Gun against the Grookey isn't going to be an issue because it's resisted. We're going to throw another Pokeball. It's at half HP. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank God. Okay. That's another thing with the wild area. Because the Pokemon are so obscure, like Wingull is a Pokemon that's not generally an early route Pokemon necessarily. You are going to have a bit of a hard time catching them at times. But luckily we do catch this one with no deaths. Yeah, Wingull's data will be out of the Pokedex. I think that's the first time we've had a Wingull this early in the game. We can name this thing. I don't know what to name it. It's a female. What if we name it? I thought about Soar. I'm gonna name it Sorin. Because it's Sorin. That was hilariously bad. I'm sorry. But yeah, we can select our preferred number here. So I think we'll just go with. You know what, I'm just gonna skip it and we'll go with 001 because we're gonna be number 1 and beat Leon. Wonderful. Now we can go over to the video drop in and trigger the battles there. I believe there's 2 Team Yell battles and then a double battle that we have to do with Hop, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think any of that should be an issue. We could actually use the Wingull if we want, but yeah, he's gonna just take us to the video drop in. But I think going with Grookey should be fine. So we can just go through here. Making our way over to the video drop in, and yep, there it is. I believe once we go inside, we'll be forced to talk with the Team Yell. That's great. Okay, so here's the Team Yell battles. Sure. I don't think these should be too bad. If I remember correctly, there are 3 battles, 2 back-to-back battles where you don't get healed, and then Hop heals you in preparation for the double battle. Don't think any of these are big concerns. And I think this would also be just a good time to shed some light on the fact that the level caps apply for the gyms. As you can see, the one I have on the screen right now is level 20. That applies only for the first gym, and then the second gym, third gym, fourth gym, the semi-final battles, and then the championship battles, and so on. They don't apply for random battles with like Hop and stuff. Now, also same thing with the number of Pokemon though. I don't believe in using the same number of Pokemon for the trainers because I just think these guys are, again, grunts. They're just supposed to be quick battles that you get done with. But I do believe any boss battles, such as whenever you fight Hop, or later on when you fight Bead or Marnie, those ones I will be using the same number of Pokemon as I'm supposed to. So again, we got through that pretty easily, just spamming Branch Poke. Again, Team Yell Grunt should be another one Pokemon. I love how Hop just sits on the side watching you for these first 2 battles, and then he's like, finally, after you kill 2 of them after you beat 2 of them by yourself, he's like, oh, now's the time. Now's the time for me to, join in and steal the thunder. Branch Poke, yeah, this is more than half. If it quick attacks again, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. Yep, okay. Branch Poke. So we're done with that. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, wonderful. Now we're just going to be waiting for Hop to start the battle. I believe he should heal us up. Yep, there. What's going on? He gets some Pokemon battles without me. I mean, honestly, Hop is just a bit annoying in the fact that he just, I think, is a little bit too much of a tryhard in these games, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Hop as a rival, to be honest. I'd much prefer the older rivals. Because at least, like, I think Hop is honestly a bit too cocky for his own good, given how little skill he actually has. Quick attack, 3 HP, that's fine. Branch Poke should take care of the Nickit. Wonderful. Tackle, please tackle the Nickit. Oh, he does. That's wonderful. That's one of the few times I've actually seen Hop be helpful in a double battle. That should actually put us over. Yeah, it gets to level 12. Razor Leaf. Okay. So Branch Poke does 40, but it's 100% accuracy. Razor Leaf, 55, but 95% accuracy. I think I'll still go with it. I'm gonna leave Growl. I'm gonna leave Taunt because I think that'll definitely come in handy, especially later on. I don't know which Pokemon have setup moves. Snarl hits both Pokemon, but yeah, it hasn't done much. Razor Leaf actually would have been nice to have going into this battle because if you guys aren't aware, Razor Leaf hits both parties in a double battle. That actually does a lot of damage. Okay, this is what I mean. Like, what was the point of defense scrolling there, bro? Like, I'm about to take out this Zigzagoon. Did he really need to defense scroll? I don't think so. But yep, that's pretty easy. But the Rookidee is going to be a bit of a concern because it is level 12, which is why I also think that having the Winkle might be a little useful for that, just because it's not weak to it, and I don't want to risk losing a Pokemon to the Rookidee here. That would be really sad. Okay, so again, Winkle against this thing. We're just going to go with the Water Gun. The idea is going to be to not take too much damage. Oh boy. So that tackle does 7. I'm going to just do a quick Growl. Let's see how much it does now. It does 6. Okay, so that is a little unideal. So we're gonna go with the Googie here for the Wooloo still. I actually expected Watergun to do a little bit more, but okay, yeah. So with the Growl, that's fine. We're gonna go with Razor Leaf. That does a lot. Tackle should be fine. Okay, so my only concern is the Rookidee knows Peck and Leer, and it's 2 moves. That's it. So obviously, if it Leers, I'm in okay position. If it Pecks, I don't know if I can say the same. Okay, we've got the level up though. Here comes the Rookidee. How do we want to deal with this? Okay, it's just one level underneath. I think I can tank a Peck as long as it's not a crit. So I'm going to go with Scratch and just see where things stand. If it Leers, that's ideal. Use Peck. Let's just gauge how much HP it does. Okay, so that did about 14. So with the crit, yeah, we would have been fine. I'm going to take this out now because I do want to leave this alive. We're going to go into the Squirvet, which I think should be able to tank. It is a couple levels under, yeah, but I think it should be okay. Yeah, it goes for Leer. Okay, so it does just something to keep in mind. Go with the tackle. Use 2 leaders. Okay, so we're on -2 now. And that doesn't do that much. Again, 1 peck, we should be able to tank. Okay, we're on -3. So we're talking about a rookie that is 3 levels above. Again, I think we should be able to, okay, we're on -4. Now, this turn I'm swapping up for sure, because I'm not taking a -4 hit. I believe Wingle, actually I don't know Wingle's speed stat. Let me double check that. Because if it does outspeed, no, we should be fine. Okay, just goes for Lear again. That is completely okay. I'm not sure what happened there. I should be outspeeding, so I'll just outspeed and use Water Gun. Perfect. Takes care of the Rookity. That was honestly the one I was the most concerned about, if I'm being honest. Perfect. Okay. Now, what do we do here? I'm a little concerned about Bind. So, because I want to stay in and use Supersonic. I don't want to go... I'm gonna go for it. I'm a little concerned about Bind, though. Okay, so he should be using Water Gun, then I believe if that's the message. He does. That should be fine, because we resist it. That still did a little bit more than I would have liked. Okay, luckily Supersonic did hit. We're going to swap, not into Cheeky, into Poker now, which... Resist Water Guns should be fine. If he uses Pound, I think we'd be fine with that, too. Please hit itself. Okay, it's Pound. How much does that do? Whew. Okay, so we're dead to a crit from Pound. But we are in... I'm just going to hope this hits. It does. And okay, it's perfect. Because we weren't Overgrow there. That was a bit of a risk to take, to be honest. But especially with the 95% accuracy. We would have resisted Water Gun and lived that. But I think with Pound, that was a bit of a risk. In hindsight, probably shouldn't have taken that. But oh well. We do get through that battle. Luckily unscathed. But okay. My goodness, that's not actually something I was expecting at all. First things first, I'm going to swap into Kugi because I don't want to be out against an electric type with a water type. That doesn't seem like an ideal situation to be in. Clink is honestly a very interesting Pokemon. Because the issue is, it evolves at level 49 into Clink Clang, evolves at 38 into Clang. Let's use Razor Leaf. That shouldn't kill, hopefully. Yeah, okay. Thundershock. Great, they got the paralysis. That's not ideal. Okay. Okay, buddy. Vice Grip. Okay, this is gonna hurt. Vice Grip hurts. Maybe just try going for a Pokeball? I mean, I don't know what the catch rate is for this thing. 130, so it's 17% with the Pokeball full HP. Okay, can we swap into something else? Because I don't like the paralysis being on this. I'm gonna swap into Scovet here. Should be able to take this quite comfortably. Again, Steel resists. Oh boy, okay. Oh, thank God, okay. The Void was actually helpful. Steel resists normal. I think we're gonna go with Bite. Which is Bind. Okay. That doesn't do too much, but I'm a little scared about the damage output. Also, yeah, because that hurts. It's in yellow now. I'm gonna go for the Pokeball because, again, Bind is gonna keep dealing damage on us, and I don't really want to. The sooner we can finish this fight, the better. It is 17% full HP, so it should be good. Oh, so close. Okay. That's a little concerning. Let's go for one more Bite, I guess we can go for. Thundershock. How much is that going to do? A lot. I need Bite to, like, stop. I need Bind to stop doing damage now. It's really low. Let's hope. That's the best I can do. At full health, if we threw 6 Pokeballs, statistically, we should have been able to catch it in 1. We're getting really unlucky here for this to not be going in. This might be dead, actually. It is. Okay, well. That's not the situation I wanted to be in. That's unfortunate. Scovet is not the best Pokemon, I guess, so that's fine, but I would have definitely not liked to lose a Pokemon there. Especially for Clink, who I'm not certain is actually that great of a Pokemon. Okay, we catch it now. I don't know. Let's go with Gear. Let's go with Gary. Gary the Gears. That'll work. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I don't really know what else to really say there. I probably could have played a little bit smarter. I was worried about the bind. I think that's one of the biggest things that scared me a little bit, especially early game, because it does do consistent damage, and on top of that, you can't swap out. So that is unfortunate. But I guess if I had to lose a Pokemon there, it would have been Skwovet. I'm just not entirely convinced that Clink is the best Pokemon to have lost it for. But, I guess it's a good electric type and it'll come in handy probably in the second gym. It's not going to evolve for a while, but I think Klinklang, when it's fully evolved, it has 520 base stat total. It's pretty solid attack, pretty solid defense. Which, like I said, having tanks is really solid. So I guess that's not terrible, but again, would have been nice to go without losing a Pokemon. Okay, that's great. I don't want to heal my Pokemon anymore. But that being said, I think we're reaching the point where this would be a good situation to end this recording on. So with that being said, I hope all of you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I will catch you guys next time for part 2 of this Nuzlocke. Till then, take care and have a great day.